All right, good evening, everybody. This is Cathy Stucker, and I want to welcome you to WordPress in an Hour. And in the next hour, what we're going to do is take a magical mystery tour of WordPress. We're going to go through the dashboard, take a look at what WordPress is all about. Now, I did a video that some of you may have seen about setting up a WordPress site and hosting in just a few minutes. And you can go to, if you haven't seen that, you can go to idealady.tv, IDEALADY.tv. That's my YouTube channel, and you can find the video there. But what I did in that video is just take you through setting up the hosting account and installing WordPress. What we're going to do tonight is I'm going to go ahead and install WordPress here so you can see that part of it, and then I'm going to take you beyond that to what you do next. We're going to look at some of the settings you might want to change and some of the things you might want to add to your site and some of the customizing you might want to do. So let's go ahead and do that. This is the C panel or control panel of the hosting company I recommend. And the hosting company I recommend you can find at myfavoritewebhost.com. That is my affiliate link, but one reason I do it that way with a different URL is if for some reason my recommendation would change at some point in the future, if you go to myfavoritewebhost.com, that will always take you to the hosting company I'm recommending. Now, I've used this hosting company for a lot of years, and they're a good company, and I like them a lot, so I do recommend them still, even though it's been several years. It's been amazing. But let's take a look at how easy it is to work with this. So they have cPanel, which is control panel, and this is where you manage your hosting account, but it's not something you're going to work with a lot, actually. After you've gone in and set up WordPress and set up an email account, you might not ever come back here, or you might come back very rarely. Most of what you do is going to be done through WordPress. But just to show you, you can install WordPress right here. We're going to do that in a second. If you want to set up an email account with that domain, whatever it is, you can do that here. And one question I got before we started I wanted to answer here, and that is, well, why do this? Why not just use WordPress.com? What's the difference? WordPress.com is not designed for commercial sites, and in fact, they can shut down your site if you're using it for commercial purposes. You do not want to run your business on a free site anyway, because with a free site, they control everything. You don't have a lot of control. You don't have as many options, and there's always the possibility that your site will just go away one day. If you have your own domain name and your own hosting, you can always, worst case, if something happens, move it somewhere else. But if you've got a free site, you can build up that site, and then all of a sudden you've got nothing there. So I strongly recommend against that. But here's what we're going to do to install WordPress. We're going to click on the button that says Install WordPress to start. Here it is. You can install WordPress yourself. Just click on Install. And they're going to ask what domain you want to install it to. There's only one domain here, so we're going to go with that. So we clicked on Install WordPress, and it took us to this page here. Now, one option is to show advanced options. We're going to do that. You can enter information in here if you want to. One thing I do recommend is that you change your admin username, and you can make it anything you want. I'm going to change this later, so I'm just going to call it, I'm just going to use my name. I reckon it would be nice if I spelled my name right. I would recommend you not use your name and that you not use something like admin. Use something that's not so guessable, because that's how hackers get into these sites. They're also generating a random password here that's really a killer. You can leave that and then change it once you're in WordPress, and I'll show you how to do that. The other thing is it's going to ask if you want to automatically create a new database. Yes, you do. Leave that checked. And they're going to ask if you read the terms and conditions. Nobody ever does that, do they? And now we're going to install it. Now we're actually installing WordPress right now, so it's going to take a minute. But it doesn't take much more than that. The install is underway. There we go. It's installing. And while you're waiting, they're going to try to sell you several things here. You just ignore this. You don't need to buy any of this stuff. One of the great things about WordPress is that WordPress itself is free. You will pay a little bit for hosting, maybe just $3 or $4 a month sometimes. There, the install is complete, but you don't need to buy a lot of stuff to go with it. So basically, you're going to pay for a domain name, which is usually about $10 or $12 a year, and you're going to pay for your hosting, which is a few dollars a month. Now, this says View Credentials. By the way, you guys are seeing my information here. Trust me, you are not going to be able to get into this site later with this information. It says the WordPress install is finished. And to view my credentials, I'm going to go there. And it says that's the URL of the site, asktheidealady.com. The admin URL is right there, asktheidealady.com/WPadmin. And then it's got my login ID and password. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to log in. This is your basic dashboard for WordPress. This is the place you're usually going to come to when you log in. It's got access to everything that you're going to need. Now down here you've got a lot of different things you can do. So let's start by going into users, and I'm going to edit myself. Now as the admin, you can't change your username once that's in there. But there are some things you can do. First of all, you can put in your name. And then you can display your name publicly as your user ID, which I strongly recommend against. First name, last name, or variations thereof. So I'm going to use Cathy Stucker. And then it asks for your email because it needs to be able to communicate with you. And then you can change your password here if you want to. Now see down below here it says strong. I've put in a password that is much stronger than your typical password. Oops. Whoops, it mismatched, so I did something wrong. It still doesn't like that. There we go. So I'm going to update that now. You always have to save. Anytime you make a change, make sure you save it. So we've updated our profile. Now, and by the way, did you notice that it had a picture of me when we looked at the users? That's because it recognized it through Gravatar. If you don't have a Gravatar account, you won't see that, but that's a pretty easy thing to do. Let's take a look at some of the settings, because that's the next thing you're going to want to do. There are lots of different settings for WordPress, and I'm going to tell you not to worry about most of them, but I'm going to show you a couple of things you'll want to do. You want to change your site title, and this is going to be whatever you want it to be called. This is what's going to appear in the top of the site. Like, see, right away it changed it up here. It says Ask the Ideal Lady. And then if you choose to, you can put in a tagline. You don't have to do that. Some themes will display it, some won't. And if you don't have one, it's not a problem. But if you have a tagline, you can put it in there. It's going to show the WordPress address and then your site address. Those are usually the same. But let's say you have an account already or website already, and now you're just adding WordPress on as a separate blog. Your site address might be asktheidealady.com, and then your WordPress address might be asktheidealady.com/blog. So this would show /blog for both. You'd want to take that out for the site address here. You're going to want to put in your email address there. Do not check the box that says anyone can register. You don't want that, so leave that unchecked. You can leave that. Set your time zone. And what you can do here is set, you can look for a time zone or a city. I'm just going to choose Chicago because I'm in the central time zone. Your date and time format. If you have a calendar on your site, what day do you want the week to start on? You might want Sunday, you might want Monday. Your language, and then don't worry about the Mojo stuff because we're going to get rid of that anyway. So save those changes. Mojo is the thing that they're using to try to sell you stuff, and you don't care about that. Now let's look at the writing settings. There's nothing I would change here. I just want to show you a couple of things. This is just going to do a couple of things here with, like, if you don't set a category for a post, where is it going to put it? It's going to put it in uncategorized. Press this is a bookmarklet that allows you to easily capture things on the web and use them as the basis for a post. All you need to do is grab this and drag it up to your bookmark bar in your browser, and you'll have a little bookmarklet that you can click on. If you're on a website and you want to save some of the things from that page, you can click on it when you're on that website. It also gives you the ability to post via email. I'll be honest with you here, I've never used this, but it's available. And then it will automatically update Ping-O-Matic.com whenever you post anything. Now what that does is Ping-O-Matic is a service that sort of lets search engines and other places know that you've updated the site, and it tells them that there's new content there to come look at. So I wouldn't make any changes on this writing page. Let's go to the reading page. And I don't know that we're going to make any changes here either. But I want to show you what's here because you might want to make a change at some point. You have the choice on your front page of displaying your latest posts or what's called a static page. Let me explain the difference there. If you're displaying your latest posts, what that means is that, say in this case we've chosen at most 10 posts, so when you've got at least 10 posts, it'll show your most recent 10 posts in reverse chronological order. So the one you did today is at the top, the one you did 3 days ago is below that, the one you did a week ago is before that, the one you did 2 weeks ago is below that, etc. That's a traditional blog setup. However, you also have the option of using a static page. So if you don't want it to look like a traditional blog, you can choose to use a static page. I use a static page for Idea Lady because I've got some widgets in there. My husband, I finally got him to move his site to WordPress.com, or to WordPress rather. And when we moved it, he said he didn't want it to look like a blog. So this is what I did for his home page. This is a static home page. You can see there are no posts here. It's just an introduction, and then along here it's got all the navigation. So this is a static page that we made the home page, and you can certainly do that for your blog if you want. At this point, I would just leave it at your latest post because you don't know exactly what you're going to do with the site, and you don't have any pages to point to. How many posts do you want to show on your blog pages? 10 is a good number. I'd leave that. Syndication feeds. WordPress automatically creates RSS feeds that you don't need to know about that. You didn't need to know how they work. You just need to know that they exist. And it's kind of a magic way of your content disseminating across the internet. Let's just leave it at that if you're not familiar with them. But again, 10 items is good. You can change this if you want. This shows each article is going to have the full text. You can change that to summary if you'd like. You can leave it either way. That just means that when it's syndicated through this RSS feed, it'll either have the full text of the article or just a summary of the first paragraph or so. Don't check that box. This last one is about search engine visibility, and it says discourage search engines from indexing the site. The only reason to do that is if you're really working on the site and you don't want the search engines to accidentally find it before you've got it the way you want it to be. But I don't ever do that. I would just let it go. Let the search engines find it whenever they find it. So I don't check that box. And then we're going to save those changes because we did make a change there. Generally, you're going to leave most of this pretty much as is, but I want to tell you what this means. Default article settings, whenever you post something, it's going to attempt to notify any blogs linked to from the article. That means it's going to send what's called a ping back or a track back. There's no problem with leaving that checked. So if you link to my site, for example, you're going to try to send a notice to me to let me know that you linked to me. It's an automatic thing. You don't have to do anything. You can leave that checked if you want to. It really doesn't matter. It won't hurt. This allows link notifications from other blogs. So when somebody does that, they try to notify you. Are you going to accept it or not? To be honest with you, these days, I uncheck that because I got a lot of spammy links coming in, and I just didn't want to track back to them, and I didn't want to deal with them. So I just uncheck that box. And then I leave comments on. Now, when you have comments, how are you going to deal with them? Expect that you are going to get a lot of spam comments, and I'm going to show you some ways to deal with those so they're not too overwhelming. One thing to do is comment author must fill out name and email. I would leave that checked. Users must be registered and logged in to comment. Don't check that because you said on a previous page that people can't register. So you won't have any comments at all if they have to be registered and logged in and you don't let them register. So I would leave that unchecked. Now here's something you might want to think about doing. Automatically close comments on articles older than a number of days. A lot of times the spam comes in on your most recent articles, and frankly, even if real comments are coming in on old articles, you may not care about them. You may want the focus to be on your most recent articles. I don't usually check this, but I have one site where I do just because I was getting so many spammy comments. If you do this, I would change it to more than 14 days, though. I would make it something between 30 and 90 days, but I don't usually close comments on older articles. Enable threaded comments so that when people leave comments on comments, you're going to see them threaded in a logical way. Break comments into pages. If you get a lot of posts that have massive numbers of comments, you might want to think about this because it'll help the pages load a little bit faster. You won't be trying to load, 300 comments. And you want comments displayed with the oldest comments at the top or the newest comments at the top. I like older. I would leave that. You can also ask WordPress to email you whenever anyone posts a comment or whenever a comment is held for moderation. If you have this done, you're going to get some emails, but it's good to know that because especially if a comment is held for moderation, you want to know it's there so you can go in and approve it or delete it. This is important. I choose this option that's already checked here. You can choose before a comment appears that the comment must be manually approved, meaning every comment has to come through you and be approved. Or, here's what I do. The comment author must have a previously approved comment. So what that means is if you come to one of my sites and you leave a comment, the very first time you do that on that site, it's going to come to me before it gets published. However, if I approve that comment and you come back a week from now and leave another comment, that will publish instantly on the blog. I think that's a good way to do it because that way I'm not having to manually approve every single comment, and it doesn't delay comments for people I know are trustworthy. Now you can uncheck this box and just say everything has to be manually approved. You can uncheck both boxes and just let everything get published. I don't recommend you do that because you're going to end up with a lot of spammy comments on your blog and it's going to look bad. If I go to a website and I see they've got a whole bunch of spam comments sitting there, I just feel like they're not maintaining their blog. They don't care about it. It's kind of a bad neighborhood, and I try to get out of there fast. It also gives you some options about when you would hold a comment for moderation or automatically blacklist or spam it. I don't do much with that, but if you see you're getting a lot of comments that have a certain pattern, you can put something in there. If they're spammy, you can put something in there to blacklist them. This allows you to have avatars for your commenters, and you can choose what you want to use. And then when you're done, you save those changes. A couple more settings here. Probably wouldn't make any changes here. These are just standard sizes for media when you upload them. If you're using a theme that has different settings, the theme will probably deal with this. But I would just leave this as the standard, and I would also leave this last one checked. Organize my uploads into month and year based folders. And what that means is that when you, for example, upload an image with a blog post, it's going to upload it to your uploads file, but then it's also going to have a month and a year folder there too. So it doesn't put all of your images in one giant folder. It's going to put all the images from this month in one folder, and then next month it's going to start a new folder, and all of those images go in that folder. it's just a much neater way of keeping everything in order and not letting this file get huge and out of control. So I would leave that checked. I wouldn't make any changes here on the media settings. And last but not least, under settings, we have permalinks. The default permalink is stupid, so we're not going to use that. What this means is that when you post something to your blog, the link will be, in this case, asktheideallady.com/?p=, and they'll have a number after that that represents the post number. That tells you nothing about the post. It doesn't tell you what the topic is. It doesn't tell the search engines anything about it. It's a really bad way to identify your posts. Now, they give you several options. The one I like is post name. It's asktheideallady.com/ and then it'll have the title of the post. So it might say top-10-WordPress-plugins, if that's the title of the post. So the post name, I think, is the best way to do it. If you'd like, you can put in a date. You can even put in the actual day, not just the month. I don't like that because it just further dates your posts, and I think that works against you. So I wouldn't do any of that. I would just do post name. You can do whatever you want, but definitely change it from the default because that just stinks. That's lousy. You can also add in things like categories and things like that. I, again, wouldn't do that, but you certainly could if you wanted to. At this point, you probably don't know what you want, but going with post name is a real simple way to do it. Okay, now I mentioned this marketplace thing. Let's go into plugins for a moment. And this is going to show you some plugins that are already installed and activated. I'm going to recommend you not use Akismet just because it's really only for non-commercial use, and if you're doing a site for your business or with the intention of making money, you don't have a non-commercial site, so I would deactivate that. The Hello Dolly plugin is really silly. If you look up here in the upper right corner, it says Golly Gee Fellas. What Hello Dolly does is it puts a line from the song Hello Dolly up here on your admin screen in this corner because they have a weird sense of humor at WordPress. So I'm going to deactivate that because I really don't need to see that. I'm also going to deactivate this Mojo Marketplace because I don't need to buy anything from them. So deactivate. Now, I've got one left here that was already installed. And by the way, you can also delete these. If you click delete, it'll delete the files associated with those, and you can do that or not. That's up to you. Jetpack by WordPress gives you a whole bunch of great features, and there's a lot of information out there about it. You might want to find out more about what's involved with Jetpack, but it's something you might want to use. In order to actually use it, even though it's activated here, it's not completely ready to go. You have to enable it, and the way you do that is you go to WordPress.com. You just click on this button up here where it says Connect to WordPress.com, and if you don't have an account on WordPress.com, you'll need to set one up. It's free, and get that account so that you can get a key and activate your Jetpack. I'm not going to go through that here, but all that does is it makes sure that you can use Jetpack. Now, Jetpack has things like stats. It has some really cool features you can add to your blog. It has a lot of stuff that I think you'll find useful, but like I said, I'm not going to go through all of it right now, but you may want to go ahead and activate that. And do it right away because it won't start gathering things like stats until it's activated. So go ahead and activate it, set up your WordPress.com account, and get that going. We're going to come back to plugins in a few minutes. But first, I'm going to go to Appearance. Now, when you start up with WordPress, it has some themes already installed. Oh, and there's a new one here. Haven't seen that before. 2015 is out. These WordPress themes look nice. I think you could use those and your site would look fine, but you're going to want to tweak them a little bit because they're a little bit boring and staid the way they are. Plus, if you don't make some changes, everybody's going to look at it and say, oh, this person didn't even care to change the defaults from what they uploaded from WordPress. I'm going to show you what we do here. I don't know if it's going to show us the site. I think it said it's not live yet. Oh, it is there. Okay. So it's set it up with 2015, and this is what it looks like. You see, it's pretty boring. Let's go back here and let's try 2013. Now here's how you change the whole look of your site in WordPress. You put in a new theme, you activate it, and you can do a live preview before you activate if you want to. And then that's what the site looks like now. We went from that to that basically with a couple of clicks. It's amazing how easy it is to change the whole look and feel of WordPress. Now, what I would do here is I would change this graphic because that's the default graphic that everybody's going to have. So you want to change it to something else. Let's go back and see how we do that. You see it says Customize Widgets, Menus, Header, Editor. I would recommend you stay out of the editor unless you know what you're doing. You can break things there. But you probably won't ever need to. But these other things you can use. So for example, header. Let's change that header image. Here's the current header. Let's add a new image. I'm going to select a file and upload it. And the dimensions are supposed to be 1600 by 230. If they're not that size, it might look a little weird when you upload it. So you can see you can select and crop. So if you have a bigger image, you can take it so you only take the part you want. So we're going to go with that. Okay, come on. And now we have this new image here. Well, gee, that's not great because it hides the site title. So let's change the header text color. We can come in here and choose, if we just want to go with white so that stands out, we can do that. Or if we want to choose another color group. Most of these look pretty hideous here with these colors. So I'm just going to go with white because I like the contrast there and that's simple. So we're done with this. So now we've got the header changed and we changed the color of this text. Notice that when I mouse over Ask the Idea Lady, it's underlining. That's because that's a link. So anybody who clicks on that will be taken to the home page. So they can be anywhere in the site and they can get back to the home page quite easily. So we're going to save and publish. Now we go back to Manage Themes, and let's also go back and look at this new image just so you can see how we changed it. This is what we started with, and then we changed it to 2013, the different theme, and that's with the standard image. And then we put up our own header image, and that's what that looks like. Okay, that's okay. Maybe you want something different, but that you can see that it changed. You're always going to have the Hello World post here. That's the first post that comes with WordPress. Once you go in and start adding posts, delete that, and there's also a comment on that, so you delete the post and the comment together. You also see it says sample page here. There's a sample page in WordPress. You're going to want to put in some other pages and then delete that sample page, or go in and edit the sample page and change its name. We're not going to talk too much about content tonight, but just so you know that the difference between posts and pages, posts are the articles you put in, the updates, the information that you want to add to your blog on a timely basis. Pages are more things that are there forever. They're the evergreen stuff, like your about page, your contact page, maybe a product page, or something else like your privacy policies and things like that. The stuff that's always going to be accessed, that is not something you want to have drop down and out of people's site. You want it to always be very visible. So you put your pages on the menu. And here you can edit what's on the menu. Now we don't have a lot of pages, so this isn't going to give us a lot. But here we've got a menu structure. We're going to have a home page and a sample page because that's really all we've got. You can create your own menus though. Once you've got other category or other pages, you can create menus with whatever you want in it. So that's a really easy thing to do to change your navigation. We did the header. We're going to talk about widgets in a minute. And customize here, we looked at the header and everything already, but you can just come back here anytime and change that title and tagline. You can change your colors, and that was, remember, the colors here in the header. You can change that header image, widgets, and then if you want to have a static front page, you can determine what that's going to be. So you see, we've already made some pretty significant changes. We have a couple of questions. Okay, she says she has a site, wants to use WordPress and build a new site, but if I start building it with WordPress and use the current URL, will this make my site change before I'm ready? Yes, it will. There's a way around it, and I would prefer not to try to explain it here, but basically what you do is you set it up in a subdirectory and you get it the way you want it, and then you have to change a couple settings. And if you're using a good hosting service, they can walk you through how to do that. They know how to do it, and they can explain it to you. I know that the hosting company I use walked me through it when I had to do something like that. But that's probably the best way to do it. Does Jetpack offer better stats than Google Analytics? You know what? Nobody has really great stats. Google Analytics is really good. Jetpack has some good stats. You can use both if you want to and see how they compare and see which one you think is more accurate. I really haven't compared them, but you know, Google Analytics is probably going to give you more. And if you're used to using Google Analytics, that's probably a good thing to do. So I would suggest that you might want to just go ahead and stay with Google Analytics. And in fact, one of the things I'm going to show you is an easy way to work with Google Analytics, because when you start installing things that require you to copy and paste code into every page of your site, there are a couple of tricky things you need to be aware of. But fortunately, WordPress makes a lot of this stuff very easy for you, because WordPress has a lot of what are called plugins, and we already saw a few plugins. We saw Jetpack, we saw Kismet, we saw Hello Dolly, yeah, one of the classics. But there are thousands upon thousands of WordPress plugins that do all kinds of things. Whenever you have a day when you're trying to do something and you just can't figure out how to make WordPress do it, do a search for a plugin, because somebody else has probably tried to do that, run into a frustration with it, and they created a plugin. So let's go ahead and go back to plugins. Oh, by the way, what I didn't show you on themes, let's go back to that for just a second. I showed you that there are 4 themes installed here. There are, again, probably tens of thousands of themes out there. Many of them free. Most of them probably free. If you want something that's not here, because these are real basic, I would recommend that you start with one of these, just because you probably don't know what you want right now. So start with one of these, and when you run into something where you think, you know, I'm bored with this, or I don't like the way it does this, or I really would like to have something else, then go look for another theme. What you do is you come here to Appearance, Themes, and you click on Add New. Now, if you've downloaded a theme from someplace and it's on your computer, then you can click here on Upload Theme, and you just upload it and it installs it. But if you don't have one, and you're just looking for ideas, you can come in here and you can just look for a theme. You can look at their featured themes. These are some of the popular themes that they like. You see there's some really nice looking themes here, and these are free. You can also do a search. So let's say you want to do a search and look for something that has a certain characteristic, or you've heard about a theme, or you saw a theme someplace and you want to do a search for that. You can do a search and find the themes. Like, let's say I want something that's red. What comes up when I say red? Okay, these are not all red. It's bringing it up for some reason. But let's say I look at this and I think, well, gee, I really like, this one. Or I really like this one. I want a magazine theme. You find something you like. By the way, Weaver is a really good theme. It's easy to customize and it gives you a lot of options if you want to try that. Let's go ahead and install that, in fact, Weaver 2. When you find a theme you like, you can click on Preview and it'll show you what the theme looks like. And then you can decide to install or you can close it. Let's say when I look at the preview, maybe I don't want that one. Let's look at something else. Now keep in mind when you install these, they're going to look different because you won't have all the images and things already there. So you're going to have to add content to have them look this way. But let's go with this one. Let's just install it. Now, all we've done here is we've looked for this theme, we found one we liked, we clicked install. It says we're downloading the install package. Now we're just going to activate it. And now, when we go to our home page, this is what we see. Completely different from what we had just a minute ago, because we changed the theme. And again, with all of these, you can generally edit the headers and put a different image in there or change the background image. This has a little pattern in the background. You can often change the colors quite easily. There are lots of things you can do. Like in this particular theme, what does it give us as options? Oh, this is graphene options. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to that. Sometimes you can even change things like the number of columns or how the columns are arranged. So let's look at our options here. Yeah, slider options. Oh, geez, this has got lots and lots of options. So this is a very nice theme, and it's completely free. And if you put it in and you play with it a while and you say, I really don't like this, you just go find another one and stick it in instead. That, the horrible thing about websites is they're never finished. But the great thing about a website is it's never finished. You can always make an improvement on it anytime you want. So if you try this theme and you don't like it, well, go to something else. If you try it and you love it, but you want to tweak a couple things, go ahead and tweak it. You're not going to break the internet if you play around with it. Okay, well that's good. I like that theme. So we've got a new look here with our graphene theme. So now that we've looked at themes and we've seen how easy it is to change your theme, literally just point and click, choose the one you want, and activate it. Let's go back to plugins. Plugins give you a lot of functionality. Now there's tremendous functionality built into WordPress already, but maybe there are things you want to do that it doesn't do, because it is kind of a blank canvas in a lot of ways. There are several things you can add. Jetpack is good. That comes with WordPress. You just need to activate it. What if you're concerned about, for example, SEO? And you want a plugin that's going to help you do search engine optimization for your site. Now this is going to show you some, again, we went to plugins, add new, and it's going to show you some of the plugins that are very popular. But we're going to look for one that is popular for search engine optimization, Yoast SEO, and I'll give you a list of these. I'll put this in the with the video replay, assuming we have a replay. So it's WordPress SEO by Yoast. If we want to look at more information about it, we click on More Details. And a couple of the things you'll want to look at when you're looking at the details on something like a plugin or a theme. Like with the plugin, you want to see when was it last updated. This says 3 weeks ago, so it's very current. If you see it was last updated 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be a little wary of that because it may not work with the current version of WordPress. Sometimes things change and the plugin may not be necessary or it may not work. It's been downloaded almost 15 million times, so that means it's pretty popular. It's got a lot of 5-star reviews. Of course, it's got some 1-star and other reviews because everything's going to, especially with that many downloads, going to have that. But it's clearly a very popular, very highly regarded plugin. So let's go ahead and install it. And all we do is click Install Now. And again, it did it automatically. Now we're just going to activate it to actually turn it on. Because when you download it by clicking Install Now, it puts all the files there, but it doesn't actually cause the plugin to work. But WordPress SEO, it's now there. There's an FAQ, premium support, which means you're going to pay for that, but you probably won't need it. The settings, and there are lots of settings. I'm not going to go through all those for this plugin, but there's a lot of information out there about using the plugin too. And then, of course, if you want to deactivate it, you can do that here. Generally speaking, these all have an edit button. I wouldn't click that if I were you, because you don't want to get into editing a plugin. You're going to break something more likely than fix it. I wouldn't mess with editing a plugin. So that's one, is the SEO. One of the other issues I mentioned is you're going to get a lot of comment spam. There are bots that troll the internet just looking for WordPress blogs and other places where they can leave comments, and they're just spammy. A few ways you can recognize them is, one, they don't make any sense. I see the most weird words in these comments sometimes. But also, where there's a space for name, it'll say cheap Viagra, or VIOP phone calls, or Travel India, or whatever. So whenever you see something like that, instead of an actual name, assume it's a spam comment, especially if it's cheap Viagra. But you want to just have those cut out before you even have to deal with them, ideally. So one of the things you can use instead of Akismet, because Akismet is not free for commercial use, you do need to pay a fee, and it's not very much. If you want to use Akismet, it's not a lot of money, but you do have to pay a fee for that. But there is a free version of a spam plugin called Zero-Spam. And again, you just do a search there, and then it is going to go through. Oh, come on, I'm getting all these pop-up boxes here. Tell me about all the help I can get. I don't want the help. Now, when you first have set this up for real, you may want that help, so click on some of those and see what it has to tell you. Here, WordPress Zero-Spam. And again, you're going to look at the details on this before you install it, because you want to see when was it updated, what do people have to say. It was updated a week ago. That's really good. It's got a lot of good 5-star reviews. Average rating is basically 5 stars. So this is a very good plugin, and actually I know that it's very good. I've seen it highly recommended. So now it does say this plugin has not been tested with your current version of WordPress, but this is a very popular plugin. It was just updated a week ago, so I'm going to guess that WordPress just pushed out an update, and it hasn't been tested with that yet, but I'm going to guess that it's going to work just fine. So we can install that now. And this way you don't have to have something like CAPTCHA where you make people fill out words. You know, don't you hate those? I hate those things. This works without CAPTCHA, but it just stops people based on certain characteristics. It knows what to look for. It can recognize bots. It knows certain IPs are not good. Certain places that people are coming from are not good. So now we've got WordPress SEO. We've got WordPress Zero-Spam. We've got Jetpack. Something else that's really important. Remember I said you can't break the internet? Well, that's going to be true. You're not going to break the internet, but it certainly is possible to do something that messes up what you've got on your site. Or, you know, and it seems like the more you try to do, the dumber mistakes you're going to make. Let me tell you about the day that I deleted the database for my husband's site. That was not a happy day. Although actually it turned out to be not so bad, because we make regular backups. Whatever you are doing on a computer, whether it's on your own computer or sites you're putting on the internet or anything, make sure you have backups. Back up early and often. If you've got good backups, then even if really bad things happen, it's more of an inconvenience than a disaster. And one of the things you can do is use a plugin to automatically back up your site. One that I found that, I'll be honest, I have not used this one, but it looks really good and I may try it out. And it's called BackWPup. And when we search for that, here we go. And we're going to look at details. Always look at the details before you install a plugin. Even if you're sure that this is what you want and it comes very highly recommended, always look at it. It gives some information about what it does, but it was last updated 17 hours ago. That's pretty fresh. It tells what versions of WordPress it's compatible with. Again, average ratings are very good. So I would say this is probably a good backup plugin to use. Now, one of the things you'll also see with a lot of these free plugins is this is not going to be supported as well as their pro version, they say. So they have a free version. The free version will probably do what you want. But if you want something better, they have a pro version, and you're going to pay something for that. I've got a number of plugins in use at various sites that have both free and paid versions. That's fine. You don't need to have the paid version, but sometimes I do pay for something because it's something that I really want to use the most features on. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and install this. It looks good, and it looks like the free one's going to work. And you can do more research on this if you want to. I already did some research on all these plugins I'm showing you, but normally I might go out to their web page and look at that, not just the page on the WordPress site. Activate the plugin. And we had a question about using Google Analytics versus Jetpack. There's probably more than one, but let's go back to our plugins. This is taking us to the settings for backup. Let's say you just know you want to use Google Analytics and you want to do it in an easy way. You can go here and you can just type in Google Analytics. That one finger typing is real fast. Now they've got several here, but the one I'm actually looking for is Google Analytics by Yoast. Now remember we have the Yoast SEO plugin? Well, he also has a Google Analytics plugin. So if you want to use Google Analytics on your site, this has got over 7 million downloads, really high ratings. It was last updated 12 hours ago. It's compatible with our current version of WordPress. I think that's the one I'm going to go with. Yes, I want to install that plugin. Gimme. And again, we're going to activate the plugin. Now, I don't recommend you go out and download every plugin you find because at some point you can start running into compatibility issues, or it can just kind of bog down your site because it's running a lot of operations. However, you certainly can have more plugins than we've got here. We've only got a few plugins actually installed and running. But these are all really good. This is a good start. Now, one other one I have traditionally used is Google XML Sitemaps. However, what that does is it creates a sitemap for Google and the other search engines so that they can more easily see what's on your site. They can more easily index it. And in theory, that should maybe help you get better rankings because they're going to be able to come to your site, immediately see what you've added, see what's new, see how often you're updating and all of that. So I had been using Google XML Sitemaps as a plugin, but I understand that the Yoast SEO plugin, okay, where was that? WordPress SEO also has a sitemap function in it. So you might not need to add another plugin to do that. You can use this WordPress SEO plugin. Plugins to do other things. There's one called Digg Digg, D-I-G-G-D-I-G-G, and that creates those little social media buttons. That's what I'm using at Idealady. It's not on the home page, but you're going to see it on blog posts. So you see over here, we've got these sharing buttons so people can share on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and so on. That's Digg Digg, and that's a plugin. So the thing about Digg Digg is it goes along with, as people move through the post, it's going to move with them a little bit. So if you want to use Digg Digg, it's, again, just do a search. It's D-I-G-G, D-I-G-G. That's another plugin you can install. There are contact form plugins. One of the most popular is Contact Form 7. I use something called Pretty Link sometimes, and again, that's one that has a light and a pro version. The Pretty Link program allows you to do links that, for example, this was not Pretty Links I used for this, it was a different one. But when I posted about this webinar to social media, I used idealady.com/to/webinar as the URL because it's a lot cleaner and shorter than the full URL to go to the webinar service and register. That's a link shortener, and that's what Pretty Link does. So it's shorter, it's easier to remember because you can give it a word or some other thing that you can remember much easier. And Pretty Link is great that way. I use it on some of my sites. Like I said, I have a different one I'm using on Idealady, but there's a bunch of them out there. Let's see if there's anything else I want to suggest on plugins. I think that's about it. Now, we've covered an awful lot. We're just about at the end here. And I know that we did this at kind of a high level, but when you come in here, just play around with it. Get your WordPress site set up, go through the settings like we did, make those changes right away, and then you can start thinking, what do I want this to look like? What's the feel I want? What do I want to do? The other thing I didn't show you was widgets, so let's take a look at those. They're kind of similar to plugins in a way, and a lot of the widgets you're going to get are going to come from plugin directories. But let me go to that just because I want to show you real quickly how they work. We have a sidebar widget area in this theme, so we can put different widgets there. Now, what it's got right now is a search widget, recent posts, recent comments, archives, categories, and meta, which is your login information and things. I don't like to have meta in the sidebar, and I don't like to have archives in the sidebar. Archives are usually by month and day, and I think when I go to a blog and I'm looking at information, I do not care what you published on August 22nd. What I care about are all the posts that are about a specific item. So I like having things like categories. You can add, if you want to put something in there like about me, you can just put a text over here, a text box, and you can type in your title, about me, oops, spell it right, or people will think you're an idiot, and then just put in whatever you want to put in here about yourself, and then that will show up in the sidebar. Quick little bio or something about the blog. You can put in entries from an RSS feed. You can put in a calendar. Remember we said something about a calendar earlier? Let's say we want to put a calendar right there. And you don't have to put in a title. I'm not going to put in a title. Okay, so now we've changed the widgets. Let's go look at what that looks like. This is what it looked like. And I like always having a search bar at the top, by the way, because it makes it easy for people to find. But now I changed it. I've got the search box, but then I've got an About Me box where there's no text because I didn't put anything in. I've got a calendar here, and it's going to show what days I've actually published posts and things. It's going to show my recent posts. It's going to show recent comments. It's going to show categories of posts. So, that's one way to arrange things. I'm not saying that's exactly what you should have. I don't usually have a calendar, but you can put any of those things that you want to on there. And if you decide you don't like the calendar, you just come over here and drag and drop it back over here. And then when you take a look at the site again, it's gone. It was right there under About Me, and now it's gone because we killed it. So you can see that it's pretty easy to work with, actually. Oh, we mentioned RSS feed earlier. This theme has a link to the RSS feed right there. I'll show you what that does. We've only got one post, so that's all it's showing. It's showing the one post that exists, but it's going to look like that just to show people what's on the blog recently. So we've covered a lot. We're just about at our hour. Let me go back and see if we have questions. Is there a plugin that finds and retrieves free images? I know there is a paid plugin that does that, and I couldn't tell you exactly where to find it, but I have seen it promoted. There are paid plugins and themes, and if it's worth it to you to buy one, then if that's something that's important to you, that's one that you might be willing to pay for. A lot of times they're $10 or $20. Sometimes they're more. It just depends on what they are. But yes, I know there are some plugins. I don't know offhand if there's a free one. What contact forms do you recommend? I mentioned contact form 7. That's probably one of the most popular. There are, again, others that are paid and things like that. I don't know if Gravity Forms has a free option. The only one I know of is paid. But contact form 7 is fine. Some themes already have a contact form built in. So if your theme has a contact form, you might not need to add a plugin. But contact form 7 is probably a good choice. But there are others you can look at if you decide you don't like that one for some reason. It's just a good place to start. How is the entire blog? If you use the summary feature in the RSS feed, how do they read the entire blog post? There's a link, and they click on it, and they're taken to your blog. So you might want to use summary if you think that people might be looking at that feed, and that might bring them to your site. And yes, there is a read more feature. WordPress has a professional package at $300 a year. Do you not recommend that? Do you mean WordPress.com? No, I don't recommend dealing with WordPress.com at all. I would not do that. So, and there's really no reason to have this professional package, whatever it is. You can spend a lot less than that on hosting. You can have this for, under $100 a year. You can have your own WordPress site with your own domain name, and you have a lot more flexibility than you're ever going to have with WordPress.com. Does the web hosting company I recommend provide email service? Yes. On the cPanel, when we first started out, there was in the first section there, it said email. When you log into your hosting account, you go into cPanel, you click on email, and it's going to ask you, what email account you want to set up. You can set up multiples. I don't think there's any limit on it. You don't want to set up too many, but just because you don't want to manage them. But you can set up your name at yourwebsite.com, and then they have instructions on how to set that up with your email client. So if you're using Outlook or not Eudora anymore, but Thunderbird or whatever, some people just forward everything to Gmail. So you can actually forward all your emails to Gmail if you like to get your email there and use their interface. Gmail has a really good spam filter. So I actually run all my email through Gmail. I don't want to get into how I do that exactly because it's a little geeky, but there are lots of ways to do it. And it's as easy as there's what they call a forwarder that you can choose with your email address, and it just says when an email comes to Cathy@thisdomain.com, automatically send it to Cathy@gmail.com, which is not my Gmail address, but you can automatically have it sent someplace else. I'm going to go back to that's the link to the hosting company that I'm recommending. That's what we were looking at tonight. In the cPanel, we were at this hosting company, and then we went into the WordPress site. Now, once you've got WordPress set up, like I said, you almost never have to go back to cPanel. If you want to set up a new email account or certain other things, then you might go back to cPanel. But otherwise, you're going to do everything through WordPress. And what you're going to do is go to that link we saw. It's your domain name, so asktheideallady.com/wp-admin. And you're going to log into your site from that. And that's where you're going to get to that WordPress dashboard. And you're going to access doing posts and pages and changing the theme and adding plugins. And if you add other functionality to your site, other settings and things you want to change, all of that gets done through your WordPress dashboard. And once you've got that set up, it is so, so easy that I love it. I love using WordPress. I've been using it for several years now. I had been using HTML sites, and it was so nice to switch to WordPress because it's just so easy. And it's gotten easier, and it continues to get easier. So even if you're a little bit afraid of doing this, it's not as hard as you think it is. and you probably can't screw it up as badly as you think you will. And even if you do, it's not a disaster. Like I said, always if you're working on a site, make sure everything's backed up so that if something goes wrong, you just restore the backup. And with a hosting company, the day that I deleted the database from my husband's site, we had all kinds of databases there. So I just called the hosting company and I said, can you guys just restore the database, please? And they said, sure thing. And within about 3 minutes, the site was back up. So it's really not hard to do. I could have restored it myself, but I thought, let's let them do it. And there's nothing wrong with asking for support. The support at this hosting company is absolutely fabulous. It's 24-hour by phone. They're headquartered in the U.S. Their support's in the U.S. And so you get people who are here in the U.S. and speak English, which is sometimes hard if you're dealing with tech support someplace else because communication's an issue. But these folks are great. I've been really happy with them. And for shared hosting like this, it's an incredible buy, and you're going to be really happy with them, I think. Let me make sure we don't have any other questions. Is there a feature to set up buttons for PayPal or other payment systems? There might be a plugin. I'll be honest, I don't know, because what I do is I just copy and paste the code from PayPal into a blog post. And in fact, one of the webinars we're going to do next will be about creating content for your site. And so we're not necessarily going to talk about setting up PayPal in that one, although we might do that in the future. But what we're going to do is look at how to make a blog post. And when we do that, you'll see how easy it is to like take code from PayPal or any place and just paste it in. I have a blog post on idealady.com about how to embed a YouTube video on your site. Same principle. You just copy and paste the code into a post, and it makes the button appear, the video, whatever it is the code is for. So there might be a plugin that does that, though. I'll be honest. I don't know. Do I do affiliate marketing? Yes, I do some. Probably not as much as I should. I mentioned an affiliate link for the hosting service. I do that. I have some other affiliate links that I put out there. I do some Amazon affiliate marketing because, frankly, that's just too easy not to do. Amazon has a terrific affiliate program. They sell everything on earth, and they make it really easy for you to sell it, and they convert really well. So, yeah, I do that. They're not going to pay the highest commissions. Their percentages are fairly low, but your conversions are going to be good. There are lots of things you can promote as an affiliate, and I would recommend that if you're looking for products to promote as an affiliate, you look for things you use, things that you like, because that's what that your audience will also like, because that's where you're going to find the best match. So look for things that you like, that your audience will also like. Tell them about them, explain how they'll benefit from them. I mean, one of the reasons I'm doing this webinar tonight is just because I get this question a lot about WordPress and working with it, and I get a lot of people saying they're afraid of it, and I wanted to show you there's nothing to be afraid of. The other reason I'm doing the webinar is because I'm promoting this myfavoritewebhost.com link, and I'm hoping that some of the people who watch this now or later will sign up for their hosting service with this company, and I get a commission from that. Am I going to get rich off of it? Probably not. But I'm recommending something I really believe in, something I believe that will help my people. And so I might as well get paid for that since they do have an affiliate program. And that's kind of my philosophy about affiliate programs. Is this something I would recommend anyway? Is this something I think that my audience is really going to benefit from? Then if I would recommend it and they have an affiliate program, I'm going to sign up for the affiliate program and recommend it that way. But I'm never going to recommend something just because there's an affiliate program and I think I might make a commission. That is just death. A friend of mine would say death on a stick. I don't like that at all. So I think we might have covered everything, but let me just go back and make sure. Okay. Well, I'm glad you thought it was awesome. I got some good comments here. We're going to wrap up. So, all right, we've covered our questions. We've covered a really good look at that dashboard. That'll get you started. Then just go in and get your hands dirty and play with it because, as I said, you're not going to break the internet. Don't be afraid. Go in and set up your WordPress site, get it going, and then once you've had a chance to do a few things with it, we'll do another webinar probably in a few weeks, and we'll talk about things like creating content. We'll talk about how to build up your site, and we'll talk about lots of other things you can do, not only with WordPress, but some other things like how to set up an email list and all of that, because all of that's important. In the meantime, let me know if there's something you want me to do a webinar on. I want to do a lot of webinars this coming year. So tell me what you want me to talk about, because that's part of the problem, is knowing what everybody wants to hear. So email me, Cathy@idealady.com. Let me know what you want to know about. Go to idealady.com. If you're not already on my newsletter, go ahead and sign up for Ideal Lady Insider, because that's going to tell you what I'm doing next. And it's free, of course. And then come back next time we do a webinar. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here tonight. I didn't keep you too much past time. And I will see you the next time we do this.